Hello, everyone. My name is Jason. I make YouTube videos. Hudson, would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Hudson Hamilton. I'm an artist slash band manager. I've been doing so for about 3.5 years now. A good friend of Jason's, and happy to be on.
All right, cool. Uh, my first question is, how did you get started in the music business, and how has your experience managing the band Blaqrock been unique in comparison to being a musician?
Sure. So I came into Columbia College with a performance degree for contemporary music. And with that, I wanted to form my own band, and I played guitar and sang coming into the school. And then as I started going through school and everything, I became more connected with the business side of the industry. And when I graduated with a music business management degree. And that's what I became ultimately interested in pursuing outside of music and continuing after college. In terms of Blaqrock, I've been managing them about 2.5 years. And as I've been doing that, I've been constantly growing and evolving as a manager with the band. But coming from the musical background, I can assist in things like songwriting, compositions, melodies. I have an ear for mixing. And while I do that, I try not to step on any toes in terms of what they're writing, just because it's their music, it's ultimately their band. So I do what I can to help, but I think that makes me a better manager and more high quality manager because I have a more holistic view of what they're doing, and I can really make them that much better.
Absolutely. We've talked about how, I'm on the filmmaking side of things, how I really like the editing aspect.
Mhm.
And I think, as like an editor, it's still like a director's baby. So you don't want to be like, well, I think it should be done this way. And I think, it's really good to have those same skill sets, but not like
Right,
kind of what you're saying, not step on any toes.
right.
The second question I have is, uh, what ways do you see the music? What ways do you see the music industry expanding and or changing over the next few years?
Yeah, it's interesting with the whole pandemic and everything, how it very much was um, making money wise for artists was touring and performing. Um, and it's interesting seeing how the industry is reacting to all this. So, in terms of evolving now, a lot of it is doing lives on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, just getting more creative with how they're interacting with fans. It could be direct messaging, it could be um, interviews, Q&As, going on podcasts, things like that. So with the performance side lacking for a while, it's just getting more creative with how the artist interacts with fans. And at the end of the day, it's still about connecting with them in a natural way, in um, a more personal way. And after the pandemic, I think touring is gonna slowly open up um, in live shows as well. So coming out of it, I think it's gonna be more of a luxury to perform and more of a higher um, caliber of entertainment too. So um, it'll be interesting to see how things progress. Like there's a lot of GoFundMe's for different venues and um, things in terms of keeping them afloat, which is very important, especially
Right.
in the, yeah, especially in the local scene. So knowing that there's that support, knowing that there's that um, involvement from the community is also very powerful.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not necessarily as like involved as you when it comes to my local scene, at least anymore. But I'm seeing like the effect that this is having on businesses, coffee shops, restaurants, gyms, and whatnot. It's all kind of crazy, and I think what you're saying is very true. That not just artists, but businesses are having to find ways to be very creative with how they get their messaging across.
Yeah, yeah.
One question to kind of add on to that, though, is do you think VR is going to kind of open up or become more popular when touring kind of takes off again?
Mm. You said VR, right?
Yeah, like virtual realities, like put on like a head of goggles and
Yeah.
go to a concert.
Yeah, I saw something on LinkedIn about that today, actually. So I think that'll really be interesting to see. You can get like as close as you want in VR, kind of bring back that live experience. And I've been seeing things like um, there's a stage and then there's a huge field in front of it, and people are kind of on platforms like a venue floor, but they're separated. So maybe like 4 or 5 people per platform. That way they can still see it live, but it's
Oh, that's
also,
interesting.
yeah, but it's also like 6 feet apart and staying within that parameter. Um, so yeah, I think it's just getting more creative with how a live performance is going to go going forward, and just making it still having that intimate connection, but going through other means of that, whether it be VR, whether it be still live but separated. Um, yeah, so it'll be interesting to see.
Right, because it could be the part of Instagram and doing live shows that way, or it could be the VR thing.
Right.
I don't think anybody truly knows, but it is fun to speculate on
Yeah, yeah.
it. My next question is, what do you think music industry, or I'm sorry, do you think the music industry has taken like a big hit uh, due to the pandemic?
Oh, definitely. This industry is definitely going to be the last thing to like return to normal, if you want to look at it that way, just because it's such a luxury and it's not a, well, in eyes of like the government, it's not a um, primary business. It's not like the most important thing to come back. So yeah, it's definitely been hit hard in terms of revenue, in terms of people just being involved with it. Like I said, like there's been a lot of artists coming forward with wanting to support the local venues, which is really cool. Um, but now it's just really coming together as the community with local talent, with local venues and music to really keep supporting it. Um, and there's been lots of support I've seen in Chicago, which is really cool. Lots of local bands and musicians spreading the word on that, um, which is great to see. But now it's just following up on that, making sure that these venues know that they're being supported, um, and just coming together in that way.
Absolutely. As we're kind of talking about this, one avenue or business that is, at least in my area, supporting musicians like crazy that otherwise, maybe wouldn't have, is restaurants
Yeah,
because like they're, all outside. They have to find ways to get people to, come sit outside. So they'll have like at least in my town, they'll have people, like a band play for, a couple hours, and it's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, it's really changing how music is being looked at and thought of as a luxury, as some people think of it now more as a necessity in terms of especially live music. So now that people are more online, people turn to streaming, people turn to video content. So I've been talking to a lot of managers, and they say that their focus was going to be on shows and touring, things like that. Now it's just shifting to the streaming aspect, which is a good way to pivot from previous plans now into a more digital way of marketing, which is interesting too.
Right. I guess that kind of leads into my next question, which is how could this pandemic or like current situation actually work in the benefit of like younger artists or smaller artists that are trying to just get started?
Yeah, really just getting as much out there as you can in terms of digital content, streaming, YouTube. I've been educating myself on getting as much revenue from those platforms as I can, in terms of royalties, in terms of AdSense, things like that, that really can make a difference in just setting yourself up for that in the future. Having a lot of video content is, in my opinion, very important because people tend to gravitate towards video more than just like a streaming platform. And collaborating with musicians too, that's very powerful in terms of connecting with their audience and taking the time to look into what their music sounds like, what their audience could be. I think a big thing that this pandemic has brought is just time. So taking the time to research what your audience is, what their likes or dislikes are, writing new material too. Like there's not that structured outline now in terms of release. So you could write something and release it in a week, in a month, the next day. So really using that time to your advantage, I think is the most important thing you can do as an artist.
I think that's a really good answer. And I also think this is kind of adding on to what you're saying. I think this is a good time where, like, if you have that, dream of, actually starting, this is the time to start, even if you're not there yet, so to speak. One of the hardest things for me when I started working on this YouTube channel was just, getting the courage to actually just start.
Yeah.
So I think that's one avenue to it as well.
Yeah, I see that with a lot of my friends and connections, is that just starting it is the hardest thing to do. And now with this extra time, it's like, use it to your advantage, use it to create more content, use it to like work on your mental health. That's above all most important in all of this. Really just take the time to dedicate to starting something, to getting past those mental blocks that you set up for yourself, and just doing it, really.
Absolutely. Do you have any kind of final thoughts?
I think just take care of yourself. That's the biggest thing to advise. Really just look at who you are. If you are an artist, look at who you are in terms of your music, in terms of any goals you have. Make a list of goals, and really just take your time with it. I mean, now there's not a set schedule in terms of what's going on, so take advantage of the time, and look at who you want to be with this. Look at who you want to do in terms of in the future, and just set yourself up for success as much as you can.
Absolutely. I think that's a great way to end it. Hudson, thank you so much for being on today. For everyone watching, I'll leave a link to Blaqrock's YouTube channel in the description. And be sure to check
Thanks,
them out
man.
as well. They're really awesome. And I will see you all in the next video.